Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In our show, we're going to be following up on the latest developments and updates regarding the Decent Life initiative, which is in its second phase starting January of 2023. We're going to be also looking at some of the social protection programs and how all these initiatives and programs are helping to alleviate the standard of living of the Egyptian citizen all over the country. But before we start doing that, let's check out some of the stories making the news today. And we'll start off with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who held talks with the visiting Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban at El Ittihadiyya Palace in Cairo today. Speaking at a joint press conference following their talks, President el-Sisi hailed Cairo and Budapest's distinguished ties that have lasted over the past 95 years. The head of state described relations binding the two nations as a role model, adding that Hungary had been understanding developments taking place in Egypt and the region in recent times. President el-Sisi further said they had agreed to expand cooperation in the fields of energy, nuclear power, transportation, trade, agriculture, irrigation, culture and education. He noted that there was an agreement between the two sides over investments in the Suez Canal zone. For his part, Orban said the two sides are coordinating efforts at the political and economic levels. He said Budapest values Egyptian efforts to quell illegal immigration. The Hungarian premier noted that his country was partnering with Egypt on launching a businessman forum. Meanwhile, President el-Sisi and Orban witnessed the signing of a number of deals between Cairo and Budapest. During his visit to Qatar, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli met with members of the Qatari Business Union. Madbouli witnessed the ceremony of signing the 3 memoranda of understanding between the Ministry of Health and a number of Qatari companies within the framework of boosting partnership with the private sector in the field of healthcare services. Following the signing, Minister of Health Khaled Abdel Ghaffar pointed that the MOU goes in line with the vision of the state that supports partnership with the private sector in different sectors, especially the health sector. Such partnership, according to the minister, aims to improve and raise the level of health, medical and medicine services offered to the citizens. According to the MOU, the Ministry of Health will choose the best locations for health installations in which the Qatari companies will invest and operate them. The ministry will also work on facilitating procedures and needed licenses. Earlier, Madbouli met with Qatar's Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, during which Madbouli stressed Egypt's relentless efforts to encourage local and foreign investment, in addition to boosting the role of the private sector. The Prime Minister also held talks with his Qatari counterpart, Sheikh Khalid bin Khalifa bin Abdulaziz Al Thani, where they agreed on preparing for a visit for a Qatari businessman delegation to 3 zones in Egypt and the Suez Canal Economic Zone, during which they would be briefed on available opportunities there. Madbouli also witnessed with his Qatari counterpart the signing of an agreement in the field of agriculture. Prime Minister's official visit came upon an invitation from the Qatari Prime Minister and as part of both countries' keenness to enhance bilateral relations. These were some of the stories making the news today, but now turning our attention to the visit of the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to Egypt and meeting President el-Sisi. We're joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamel Bayoumi, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Bayoumi, good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm very well, Your Excellency. Now, what is the significance of such a visit by the Hungarian Prime Minister to Egypt? Now, last week we've seen a state visit from Uzbekistan. Before that, we've seen Croatia. I mean, it seems to be a series of visits by these countries to Egypt, really signing many memorandums of understandings and agreements, talking about cooperation in many different fields. But let's focus on this Hungarian visit. What is the significance of such a visit now?
very important, and it's a sort of one circle of a chain of activities Egypt is exploring in its foreign policy. Now we are coming back to some files where it was a little bit freeze during the collapse of the Soviet Union, the collapse of the Berlin Wall, and the collapse of the communism. Now we have three countries in this area. I served in Romania during 1964-68, and I was used to drive my car to Vienna, passing by Budapest, lovely countries, by the way. And by that time, we were in a sort of cooperation. All of us in my generation were using the Hungarian train because they are famous in making good trains, and we used to import their trains. In agriculture, we are cooperating, and as you will know, during this season of winter, where Europe is covered with snows, they need our vegetables and fruits and our products or food products. Mm-hmm. So now, after those countries changed their economy from the communist theory to the free economy, during that time we became main trade partner with European Union, and the Arab field or the Arab dimension also was taking all our attention, and Africa. Now they are in a better position. They are producing many things which we need. After all, they use free currencies. They became members of the European Union after we signed the agreement in 2001. So automatically, Hungary has a free trade area with Egypt. Means that we do not pay any custom duties or any trade barriers when we export to Hungary. Neither they do when they export to us. Mm-hmm. Now we are establishing a new area for industry in the Suez Canal zone. We are inviting them to come and produce in this area. It's much better than they produce in their own country, because in Egypt you are not producing for 100 million inhabitants. Now you are exporting to the Arab world 450 million inhabitants, exempted from custom duties, to the African market, which is the largest populated market, 1,200 million inhabitants. And this is the attraction we are telling our partners in order to come and produce in our country. Mm-hmm. We hope to open all these files, and as you already said, that we received and we exchanged visits with Romania, with Bulgaria, with Poland, and now with Hungary. We went to China, went to the countries of Asia, the Muslim countries in Asia, the old Soviet Union. We were used to go to these countries through Moscow. Now they are free countries, and we exchange ambassadors and embassies with all of them. Mm-hmm. So you can be satisfied that we have a relation with every single country in the world in order to exchange benefits, as you well said, for the sake of our Egyptian people, our Egyptian young generation, in order to have better future, hope for better opportunity for jobs, and to work in their own projects, or if they want to be employed in any of those industrial fields. And the sky is the limit there. It depends totally on our activity, and I hope that this is a story of success which will continue in the coming future.
Yes. Ambassador Bayoumi, now it seems that all these visits resulted in signings of potential agreements and investments, and they're all related to the Suez Canal Economic Zone, which in turn will probably turn this area into very much of an industrial and investment hub. Now, are all these sort of movements and agreements and opportunities for cooperation? Have you also seen Prime Minister Madbouli talking to a lot of the businessmen union in Qatar, talking about the opportunities of also establishing investments and industries in the Suez Canal Economic Zone? Do you feel that all these projects are mainly moved by the development taking place within the European continent as a result of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict?
The good news of all of this is that we became, Egypt, the largest country receiving foreign direct investment in our area, whether in the Middle East or among the Arab world or Africa. This is the good news. The not very good news that it's not enough. We want to attract much more investment in our country. And this means that we have to do our homework. We have a lot of bureaucracy. We have to ameliorate our banking system. It's not yet up to the international standard. It's very well developed if you compare it with the countries around us, but it's not enough. We want to make it much better, and we want a client to go to any bank branch and to be out in 5 minutes. No way to waste your time in the banking system. Many things, the transport, and we are doing very good efforts to make the infrastructure, whether transport, whether electricity. And if you see the ministers engaged in this process with the president, you'll see immediately the Minister of Cooperation, the Minister of Planning, Financial Minister, and Minister of Energy and Oil. So we shall be engaged in all these sectors, especially that Europe now started to ask for our energy supply. Egypt is becoming, with the help of the European Union, including Nigeria, of course, to be an energy supplier. You will know that we are connecting the electric net from Baghdad in the far east to Casablanca in the far west, from Alexandria in the north up till Tanzania in the south, with Sudan, with Congo, hopefully with Ethiopia also. So we shall have, and we have already surplus of electricity, surplus of gas. Our relations with Cyprus and Greece made us import import gas in order to liquidate it in our two factories, in Damietta and Rashid. And then it's a very good value-added industry. And then we shall export it through a gas pipe from Egypt to Europe through Greece, and another electric line from Egypt to Cyprus and Greece. All this will be connected to the electric net in Europe. All these things will give us tremendous opportunities of job creation, and our people shall be able to work, to have their own projects, of course. Put also aside the cultural relations and education. We have plenty of Egyptians studying in some universities in Hungary. So the sky is the limit, and it depends totally on our efforts, and I hope we are up to it.
Yes. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, now turning our attention to the Decent Life Initiative and the social protection programs the country has embarked on to really help and alleviate the standard of living of the Egyptian citizens. Let's check out this report regarding the government and the Tahya Must Foundation allocating about £22 billion in various sectors nationwide. We'll be right back.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has met with the Presidential Advisor for Financial Affairs, Major General Mohammed Amin, to follow up on activities and contributions of the Tahya Misr Fund. The meeting reviewed the contributions of the fund's activities to support the process of development and social protection programs. In a statement, the presidency announced that contributions provided by the fund have amounted to £22 billion in various sectors and fields nationwide, including £7 billion for urban development and alternative housing. The allocated funds also include £11.5 billion for the healthcare field, such as measures related to the coronavirus pandemic, as well as various health initiatives and medical devices in hospitals. Moreover, the fund has allocated £1.3 billion for social protection initiatives and economic empowerment, and another £1 billion for the cases of emergency and natural disasters. This in addition to £530 million for education, £400 million for securing job opportunities, £400 million for the investment sector, and £200 million for people with special needs. The President directed the Tahya Misr Fund to continue providing these contributions and enhancing its activities and social protection programs within the framework of the fruitful partnership with government agencies, civil society organizations and the private sector. The President also said this will mobilize the state's own capabilities as one of the tools for development and face challenges within the framework of the country's strategy to support and meet needs of the most vulnerable families and raise the level of services provided to them. For his part, Amin gave an overview of the fund's activities and contributions and noted its growing vital role in assisting state agencies to support social protection programs and development projects nationwide, and its success in many sectors to improve services and citizens' standard of living.
وانا كان حلمي على قدي ونفسي اعيش، ولما رميت عليك حملي شاركتني فيه، ايدك في ايديا من الاول ما بتسيبنيش. يلا يلا نكمل سكه مشيناها، يلا نفرح سوا باللي احنا حققناه، يلا هانت خلاص وانا وانت قلنا احنا نقدر، وده اللي انا وانت اثبتناه، وخلاص فاضل تكه 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 على اخر السكه، لسه تكه كان ناس كتير شكه 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 وشوفوا رحنا لفين، وخلاص فاضل تكه 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 على اخر السكه، لسه تكه كان ناس كتير شكه 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 وشوفوا رحنا لفين. فاضل تكة 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 على آخر السكة، لسه تكة خطوة جابت خطوة 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 وشوفوا رحنا لفين.
يلا مصريين همتكم، ده الحلم خلاص فاضل عليه تكة.
مصر دايما لما تنوي قادرة تعمل معجزات، في التاريخ دور تلاقي عنها مكتوبة حكايات، بالعزيمة والإرادة كل يوم في إنجازات. الحكاية في مصر فكر، قالها نبني وقال نعمر، قال بعون الله هنقدر، عمره ما يقول استحالة، قام وسمى الله أكبر، خلى لون الأرض أخضر، جنة سبحان اللي صور، بص شوف بعينك تعالى. مصر جت قبل التاريخ والتاريخ جه بعدها، حالة نادرة من الجمال صعب تلقى زيها، مصر أم الدنيا ليها سحر تاني لوحدها. مصر جت قبل التاريخ والتاريخ جه بعدها، حالة نادرة من الجمال صعب تلاقي زيها، مصر أم الدنيا ليها سحر تاني لوحدها. الحكاية في مصر فكر، قالها نبني وقال نعمر، قال بعون الله هنقدر، عمره ما يقول استحالة، قام وسمى الله أكبر، خلى لون الأرض أخضر، جنة سبحان
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio to shed more light on the Decent Life Initiative by Dr. Nevine Nakhla, the economist and human development expert. Dr. Nakhla, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Dr. Nakhla, I mean, we've been talking about the Decent Life Initiative for many, many episodes.
Yes.
And this year has witnessed in January the second phase of the Decent Life Initiative. Now, you're an economist and a human development expert, and you do your own trips and the development work in many of the villages under the Decent Life Initiative umbrella. Now, you've been doing it for over a year now,
Yes.
and what is the progress that has been made on the ground? You see it day by day, you meet with the people, you meet with, all the women, the children. Please shed light on the development work that's been taking place, because we're used to just talking about the headlines and nobody really knows exactly what it's like over there.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for choosing this subject today, because many people, they think that Decent Life Initiative is like any other initiative around the world. And in fact, it's not. It's the greatest humanitarian initiative worldwide. Really, it's a legendary initiative.
Yes.
And thanks to our visionary President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he's the one. It's a presidential initiative, and it was his. He started talking about this and choosing this. We saw that for many years in the past, there were a lot of rural villages, a lot of villages underserved, a lot of places, 60 million Egyptian were not getting a decent life for many years in the past. With the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, with the Egyptian Vision 2030, a lot of reform, a lot of vision, a lot of strategic planning. We saw on the ground that the Decent Life Initiative did a lot of things on the ground. We can start dividing the things into many pillars. If you want to take the pillar of the infrastructure,
Yes.
the pillar of the sanitation and the water, the clean water pipes, the canal lining, even the visionary, the greenery, the environmental, the infrastructure in the streets themselves,
Yes.
in the lightening the streets, solar energy, a lot of things in the infrastructure already took place. Also, we saw a lot of houses. They were under the poverty line and under the decent life for people living without ceiling, people living without bathrooms, people living without clean water. And we saw many years ago, we saw that people were drinking yellow water. And of course, this was causing a lot of
Diseases.
diseases,
Yes.
and were costing the country a lot of money in fighting these diseases and in giving medicine. And also it affects a lot the productivity of people, because if you have ill people, there will be no productivity and no energy. So it's a whole strategic plan. It's not just a word, Decent Life Initiative. No, it's a whole life. It's giving decent life and suitable life for 60 million Egyptian
Yes.
population. We were talking now about the infrastructure, about the housing.
Yes.
A lot of houses, they were being removed, and new cities for these people, very decent cities, very decent houses, very well furnished, very well prepared, with greenery, with schools, with hospitals, polyclinics, a lot of things. If we want to talk about the awareness, the pillar of...
Well, before we talk about the awareness, let's focus a bit on the infrastructure now. As you've mentioned, this is a huge project. I mean, it's an initiative that covers over 4,600 villages around Egypt. Now, talking about the infrastructure, clean water, roofs, over their heads. You see a lot of the streets digging and laying in pipes,
Yes.
pardon, sanitation, sewage system, all of these things. How are the residents of these rural areas and these villages, how are they receiving this? Does one village notice the work being carried out in another village, so they actually want the government to come and start working?
Yes.
How are the residents and the citizens receiving it? Are they accepting it easily? Are they adapting their lifestyle differently now?
At the beginning, when the government started doing the Decent Life initiative in the houses and in the places, in the villages, some people, especially the people that moved to new places, they moved with the culture they had.
Yes.
So they started doing the same things that they were doing in their villages. But after a lot of awareness, after the other pillar that we were going to talk about, human building and capability building, and awareness and cultural awareness and real support, vocational training, literacy classes, a lot of work. It's not only moving people. If it's about moving people to new houses or doing sealing or giving them clean water only, it would have been differently perceived. But the thing that the many awareness sessions done to these people raised even the education level, raised the cultural level, and gave them they were taught that if they ruin this, they will not have another chance.
Yes.
So they now, without mentioning the name of the place, but one of the places we serve in, there were 400 people that moved a year ago, and then another 400 people moved recently. And you can see the cultural differences, and you can see the leveling up of bridging the gap between the city and the villages.
Yes.
And this is one of the main objectives of this initiative, is to bridge the gap and reduce the gap between the culture and the education and the knowledge of the city and the villages.
Well, Dr. Nakhla, talking about human development, you're doing a lot of work in human development, and you specialize as well with women and really empowering women, and you've talked about the awareness and really changing their mindset and really empowering them, making them believe that if you miss this chance, you probably won't get another one.
Exactly.
So, and it seems that the human development, the citizens are the biggest asset we have here in Egypt. Now, the cultural adaptation or refurbishing of the mentality of these citizens, especially the women and the children. I mean, we're talking about eradicating poverty, eradicating sexual genital mutilation, female genital mutilation, sexual harassment. All of these things.
Marriage of
young girls.
ladies.
So how are they responding to this? And you also want to encourage them to start their own business, have their own startups, even if it's a small one, but they need to be bread earners as well. How was this challenging, and how responsive were the women and children to this?
People are smart, and Egyptians are very smart. When they see that the government really cares about them, and the government is really doing great things to their houses and to their children, if you count how many schools are opened, if you count how many kindergartens are opened, if you count how many polyclinics are there for them, a lot of awareness and a lot of literacy classes. The government is changing now the people from the security of giving them rice and oil, and to giving them vocational training and literacy classes and illiteracy. So all this people, they really, in the rural areas and in the villages, now they appreciate it. And they know that this is real work done for them. So this is where people change. They change because they are empowered. They are really empowered, not by words.
Yes.
The initiative of Decent Life, they don't say like ink on paper. No, people, they go in their houses, they collect the women, they give them training. A lot of work also teaching them how to market, how to cost, to calculate costs, how to buy together, how to sell together. All these things are giving them privileges and giving them a hand to really succeed. Also, a lot of other initiatives integrating with the Decent Life initiative. For example, the Ministry of Communication and Technology, they are doing for youth a lot of digital transformation initiatives in the villages of Decent Life. And this is to give them job creation, and they really give them jobs. The last initiative of the Ministry of Communication and Technology was the train of Upper Egypt train. They called it the Upper Egypt Digital Transformation Train. And they gave them training on fiber optics and on programming. And they take them to international, last week we had an international, what do you say, with India, no, an international
agreement?
Yes, with India, and our children, they won prizes in it from the villages of Decent Life in the Upper Egypt, in very far away villages.
An achievement.
It's an achievement, and I wish I had the photos to show you the kids, how proud they are. They took a month of the digital transformation and programming, and for the youth, they used the trained youth, and they give them jobs in the villages, because you know that fiber optics are one of the infrastructure in these villages. So they employ the youth of the village. So this is a great integration. Another integration with the Ministry of Culture. The Ministry of Culture now, they made a lot of libraries in the villages of Decent Life. Libraries with books, and you see that some lovely old teachers, they go and sit in these libraries and read for the small kids. This is a dream come true.
Yes, this is life-changing.
Exactly. I wish people to go and visit, instead of thinking that it's one of the normal initiatives. No, it's not. It's a legendary thing. It's taking place on the ground, real, with real impact, with real change in lives of a lot of Egyptians. And we're hoping for the second phase to start in the villages that they are jealous.
Yes, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all these developments and the progress being made is not just, I mean, they are taking place at a time where the whole world is suffering from energy and food prices, economic crisis and inflation. And the government has provided many tools, and some of these tools to help and lend a hand are the social protection programs and the digital platforms. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
Social protection programs aim to improve living standards of citizens. The state is going ahead with the implementation of a strategy set by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to achieve overall development and improve living standards of needy people, despite challenges prompted by global crises, within the framework of Egypt's Vision 2030 for sustainable development. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said Egypt needs £70 trillion to achieve aspirations of Egyptians for decent standards of living. The head of state noted that Egypt has faced the repercussions of the Russian-Ukrainian war by increasing social protection measures. He further stated Egypt was still dealing with these repercussions and that the economic reforms it had undertaken have enabled it to withstand the global crisis. Sisi said managing this crisis was based in the first place on efforts to reduce its direct impacts on citizens by implementing an integrated series of social protection measures and working to reduce the waves of inflation that hit the world and cast a shadow on everyone. In parallel to these measures, the state has worked on boosting the role of the private sector, attracting direct foreign investments to support macroeconomic indicators as well. The state also implemented initiatives and strategies to localize industries and support exports, as well as reduce the balance of trade deficit, which is directly reflected in the value of the annual import bill. The president has instructed all state institutions to give development in Upper Egypt top priority, especially in the fields of health and education, in parallel with national mega projects.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Nakhla. Now, we've seen these presidential and social protection programs, Takaful Karama, Solidarity and Dignity. We've seen the Tahya Mosque Foundation. We've also seen Fursa, opportunity,
Yes.
that you have experience with.
This initiative.
Yes. So, how are these initiatives and programs helping with the Decent Life Initiative and helping with building and developing and empowering the Egyptian citizens in these rural areas, and also about the volunteer work, because we need to really strengthen and empower the volunteering mentality, which is one of the initiatives and platform by the World Youth Forum that has recently been launched. So how are these helping with the Decent Life Initiative?
Yes, very great subject to open, I mean. First of all, the government is trying now to change the mentality of these people from the security and giving them food, giving them money like Takaful and Karama and a monthly allowance, changing this to economical empowerment. And this is where I told you I love the initiative of Forza. Forza is a chance, because it's taking people from the security of Takaful Karama, getting just allowances every month without doing anything, without trying to work, to choosing the age group of the people in the age group of working. They can work, they can learn, giving them vocational training and giving them small or micro projects to start their own financial businesses, small businesses, whether it's sheep or cows or a sewing machine or to cook something, to do something. I mean, a lot of initiatives. It differs for the plan. For the map of Egypt. One thing also I wanted to mention, that the Decent Life Initiative, it's changing the economical map of Egypt. It's changing the map of the people, what they're doing, what they're planting, a lot of things. One of the villages, they helped them. You know that Egypt, we were losing 35% of the tomato plantation because of the supply chain, because the tomato is planted far away from the factories of making the paste or making the tomato sauce. So one of the villages in the plantations, they made sun-dried tomato for the women over there, like economical development project. So you're reducing a lot of losses and teaching them something on the ground, very simple, and giving them really projects to work on. In other villages, we took many ladies and we gave them literacy classes. We gave them with the world, the ILO, how to do their businesses, how to buy and sell, and we taught them vocational training, how to do shoes and bags like school
Yes.
bags, and now each one, she has her workshop, and she has people from the family working under her.
Yes.
So all these success stories that the media should really
Yes.
highlight to empower more ladies, to empower more villages. So this is regarding the other initiatives working together with the Decent Life Initiative.
Dr. Nakhla, now, obviously, economic crises are taking place all over the world,
Yes,
and inflation and high prices, and everybody's worried about the prices of the basic commodities, and the arrival of the holy month of Ramadan, and all of these things. Now, to carry out the Decent Life Initiative with all the attached and constraints and the higher prices of raw materials and pipes and everything, does that make it more difficult for the Decent Life Initiative to progress and move forward, or with this sort of economic crisis, does it work the other way, that it's pushing the citizen to start their own business, to work more, to really enroll in different vocational training, and really moves them and pushes them to start their own work and make their own money?
It has two sides of a coin. You're right. It is a burden on the government because the prices of everything is raised. Like if you want to lighten a street or line a canal or do the houses, everything in the construction is doubled or even more.
Yes.
A lot of more
Yes.
zeros are added. So it's, of course, it's a constraint on the government, but as we said, it's a strategic plan, and it's a vision that our president will continue to make these people really live a decent life, because he's a human, and all the ministries and all the political will of Egypt is working hard to continue what they started, in spite of the burden on the country with these prices. On the other side of the coin, people who saw this development, people who lived this clean, green, better places, with better education, with better health, with, like we said, polyclinics, better place to live in, they started to rise up for themselves. I mean, especially youth, and with the other initiatives, with other, like you said, with the volunteering, Ministry of Development, for example, they have a big program for volunteers. Ministry of Social Solidarity, they have a very big program for volunteering. And this is something very important for youth to serve their countries, to serve their villages, and to learn how to give back.
Yes.
It makes an integration. And as we were saying also, the Decent Life Initiative made something very important. It integrated all the other initiatives under one roof.
Yes.
And under one vision and one line,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
instead of a lot of initiatives in Egypt, like the 100 million health, the breast cancer, a lot of initiatives, they were moving not together.
Yes.
So people were not feeling the impact.
Yes.
But the Decent Life Initiative made everyone under one roof. We are going all to work in this village and make it a perfect place to live, a decent place to live in.
Yes.
So this is one impact and
Yes.
one great thing that took place.
Well, Doctor, because we're running out of time, one final question now. You've witnessed the process since it was just an idea in 2019, and the
Yes.
first phase of the Decent Life Initiative, now entering the second phase. What would you want to see that took place in the first phase of the Decent Life Initiative, the obstacles or challenges or things that maybe we need to move around or overcome or prioritize differently that you would want to see in the second phase?
Okay, from working on the ground, we Decent Life Initiative made polyclinics, made schools, made libraries, and working now with the children to build them with better education, better knowledge. But some places they need more doctors, need more pharmacists, need more engineers. So what I dream of, that our children or the youth now, they really know that their village, this lovely polyclinic and this lovely school needs a great teacher, needs a great doctor in there, needs a great nurse in there. So, and this is taking place, and I wish for more and more of human capabilities and human building for our people to accelerate more.
Well, as Dr. Nakhla has mentioned, it is something that everybody needs to lend in a helping hand and take upon the responsibility of developing these villages, the countryside of Egypt, because this only works for the better of the whole nation. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my distinguished guests for shedding a much more realistic light on the Decent Life Initiative taking place all over Egypt. I'd like to thank Dr. Nevine Nakhla, the economist and human development expert. Dr. Nakhla, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nakhla. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Said. Thank you for joining us.